welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how starting a daily sketchbook practice and living more intentionally with more fun in my daily life, like literally making sure that I have fun in my daily life, how it has actually made me a more efficient person, a more fulfilled person, and a happier person. So grab something wonderful to drink and grab some art supplies and come join me. And if you like this video, please do click like and subscribe. This YouTube channel is really following the journey of a beginner artist and embracing the fun of artwork as a beginner, because it's so easy for us to compare ourselves to the professionals or to the YouTubers that, make, either only show amazing artwork or they've been doing it for decades. But I just want to emphasize the beauty of the beginning journey of art. But one of the things that has actually really helped me in the past several months as I reinvent my life, since I'm going through a big life change since I just left my last job, and I am looking for another job, but I'm taking this opportunity to really think about my life and how I want to reinvent it, not just in longer years, not looking at it out from years to decades from now, but rather the daily life that I lead. Because the daily life that we lead, that is our actual life. We can always have these big goals of, I'm going to do this in 5 years, I'm going to do this in 10 years, I'm going to retire in 20 or 30 years. But that's always just living in the future rather than living in the now. So I have been thinking about how to reinvent my life. And when I think about my past life, which is like the past 20 years as an adult, I think that the biggest regret I've had in terms of how I have lived my daily life is that I haven't had as much fun as I would have liked. I don't mean constant fun or trivial fun, which is generally not fun, but just a mere distraction. I mean that I didn't have enough experiences that felt fun, that were fulfilling and engaging. Many of my days were spent either engaging in serious activities or in a serious mood or being bored doing something that was supposed to be fun but wasn't fun for me. I was talking to my neighbor and she talked about how she wanted her kids, they're young, they're in elementary school, to try harder academically and be the best in their class. And I literally said to her, I always tried hard academically and was often in the top, but I honestly regret not having more fun. That if I could redo the last 2 decades of my life and even in my teenage years, I would place fun just a smidge in front of a responsible career. I don't want to wait until retirement to have fun. I want to do it as a daily habit now. And that is one of my goals as I reinvent my life, which is why I love doing art. It brings me so much joy, and that's why I've propelled art to essentially the forefront of my life for now, and maybe hopefully forever. I remember in my 20s, I spent a good deal of time engaging in activities my classmates found fun, which in the US and college and graduate school was parties and bars. I don't enjoy drinking alcohol. I don't have any issues with anyone who does, but it doesn't sit well with me and I don't find it enjoyable. I remember going to these parties in college and grad school, and only a few times did I think it was actually fun. Maybe because I was usually not drunk, but everyone else was. So basically, I spent most of my 20s engaging in activities other people found fun. Rather than invest in what I enjoyed, I invested in what I thought I should enjoy based on my peers' assessment rather than my own. I guess to an extent I was afraid I wouldn't have enough friends if I didn't do what other people were doing. And also, going to parties, after all, is the quintessential fun. Obviously, as you get older, you do this less, but it's still manifested in my 30s in other ways. And those other ways was working hard to accumulate things, which is, I feel like our whole society is structured around accumulation of things. and I realize it's a little hypocritical for a person who does a bunch of art hauls to say this, but I mean, come on, art supplies are in a special category of their own. Yeah, they're special. They don't fall on their junk. Cars, a big house, the right zip code. There was this idea in my head that if I had the right house in the right neighborhood and I was driving the right car, I would also be having fun. Honestly, I only realized how dumb that idea was until a few months ago. A decent house is the right financial choice for many overpaying rent, but to think a house buys you fun is silly. Fun is not a state of mind, but more a practice of engaging in the right activities, which then produces a carefree, happy state of mind. In the positive mindset philosophy that our current society is obsessed with, there's an emphasis on having the right mindset in order to feel happy and enjoy life and therefore have fun. But I think the opposite is true. I think when you engage in activities where you have fun, the fun produces the happy mindset and you feel fulfilled, and so it only makes sense to invest in fulfilling fun activities that have depth. Which means not aimlessly watching TV or scrolling through social media. I actually started getting into emphasizing daily fun and enjoyment, or at least regular fun and enjoyment, through my daily sketchbook practice. I don't make beautiful sketchbooks. I'm a beginner and I'm not naturally gifted artist. I only like 10% of what I make, and currently I'm going through a phase of liking less than 5%, but I love the process of just creating. If it comes out shitty, I just call it intuitive art and I move on. I also do realize that to a certain extent I don't get better quickly enough because I'm all over the place and I pursued so many different media. But I also just have fun exploring the different media. I love the way the different media feel. I love the stickiness of oil pastels, the fluidness of watercolors, the scratching of soft pastels on sanded paper, ink flowing on a page, the colors melting into each other. I have faith that if I do it enough, eventually things will start coming together and I'll end up liking more and more of the end result. But right now, I'm just appreciating and having fun with the process. Also, regardless of the media to a certain extent, they all have the same basic foundations of composition, color, drawing, etc. But going back to fun, so now as I think about reorganizing my daily life, a daily life lived intentionally rather than on zombie mode, I'm making an effort every day to make sure I do something I enjoy, which is primarily art, but also playing with my dogs, going on walks, exploring the Upper Peninsula or the UP, catching the northern lights, watching the sunset. If we're super busy, we intentionally have to make room in our lives for these things. Otherwise, time passes by, we doom scroll because we're too tired, and then we wonder why aren't we enjoying life more? Now that I do have some wiser years behind me, I want to make sure that I'm pursuing my own fun, rather than following someone else's definition of fun. It's easy through social media to think, hey, I want to do that too, but then do you really want to do it? Is that really something you think is interesting? And I want to make sure also that I'm not ranking and comparing my fun. Throughout my 30s, I would think about where I live and where my cousins and friends live. Like, seriously, I did do this and think they live in better places. They can have more fun than me. They can have more enjoyable lives. They have access to a lot more. I can't have fun because of where I live. But firstly, I didn't know if they were having more fun or if they were bored or too busy to enjoy any of the accessible fun around them. Secondly, I did have ample agency to cultivate my own fun experiences, but I had this mental block that I couldn't, that an outside force had pinned me to a boring life and I was so angry about it. Now I think, wow, if I had lived in a boring place, I could have used all that time I had at home to make art and used the beautiful art supplies I had even back then. I had bought a 48 color pan set of Schminke, watercolor, and a large set of Copic markers, but I never actually learned how to use them. I'm only learning how to use them now, and the Copic markers I still haven't been using because I've been using other things, but I keep thinking I really need to use those Copics. Why did I buy them? They're going to dry out. Instead, I binge watched TV after work and felt frustrated. It wasn't satisfying. I really wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self, even the one from 5 years ago, or heck, even 3 years ago, and tell myself, make sure you do stuff you enjoy and not stuff other people enjoy, and stop watching so much TV. And also, most importantly, stop waiting for a next phase in life to enjoy your life. I think so much of how we lead our lives is in the next phase. When I get to this point, I'm going to start enjoying my life more. But if we do it that way, we'll suddenly be 80 years old and be like, what did I just do with my life? I only have a few years left, and I didn't have fun from the age of 20 to 80, and that's crazy. So even though it took me to 40 to realize this, I at least can now try to have fun from 40 to 80. Even if I missed out from 20 to 40, I can still have fun from 40 to 80. So it's so important for us to not rank and compare our fun, and to not quantify, are we having more fun than our neighbors, our friends, our cousins? Because that ruins our fun. It paralyzes our mind from engaging in activities we enjoy. It paralyzes our mind from enjoying what we have now. And it possibly makes us end up doing things that we don't even find fun, but we want to feel we're keeping up with the rest of our family and friends. You know, I don't actually ascribe to a daily gratitude practice. Every so often, I do think about what I'm thankful for, but I don't do it daily because I feel like that practice can become trite pretty quickly. There's a pressure to find something to feel grateful for, and if you don't, you might start feeling guilty that you're not grateful enough about your life. And also, if you keep repeating the same things you're grateful for, it sort of loses its impact. At least it can for me. So now, instead of daily gratitude, I engage in 15 minutes of, for example, playing with my neocolors. And oh goodness, when I do that, I feel great. I don't even care if the artwork comes out shitty. Doesn't matter. I still feel grateful that I had those 15 minutes and I had those neocolor crayons to play with. I don't know why it took me so long, like 2 decades, to realize I functioned in default mode for my daily life rather than intentional mode, but it's probably because you go to college, then you go to graduate school, then you go into training, then you go get your first job, and then from your first job you go to your second job, and you have this like robot mode mentality, and it takes a lot to stop yourself and be like, wait, how do I want to live my life? Am I happy with the daily way in which I live my life? Not necessarily the big things, but the daily life. Is that doing it for me? And what I've found since I've intentionally started practicing daily fun, which again for me is the sketchbook practice, I found that it actually has given me more reserve for doing boring things, because I walk away fulfilled from that sketchbook time. And I feel fulfilled, honestly, for the next 12 to 24 hours. Sometimes when I make something I really love, I feel fulfilled for like the next 3 days. This actually gives me more reserve to address the boring things in my life, like taxes and paperwork for licensing. And I can engage in the boring without feeling resentful or frustrated, because I know that my sketchbook and my art supplies are on the dining room table within easy reach, and a quick 15 minutes will perk me back up. In fact, I honestly got through my various licensing paperwork much quicker than I would have had in any other year of my life, and I did my taxes 2 months before the due date. And usually, I do it in mid-October, the day of the extension deadline in the US. And it's not even because I wasn't working. I was working when I submitted my taxes. All of which I attribute to being fulfilled by a daily sketching and a daily fun practice. And a part of that is having the ability and the maturity to call my shitty art, which is most of it honestly, intuitive art, and not worrying about the outcome. So if you're a beginner, Honestly, the key to enjoying a fulfilling, wonderful art practice is to not worry about the shitty art. You have to make shitty art to get to good art, and it probably will come through. I mean, I can't 100% promise you anything because I don't 100% promise anyone anything, but I have faith that all the shitty work I make is going to come through over the next months to years, and I will keep getting to the next level. And I can see a difference. There's artwork I make that I think, oh, this is shitty, but I also can actively tell myself, oh, I couldn't have done this 6 months ago, and I definitely couldn't have done it a year ago, and I definitely couldn't have done it 2 years ago. So almost sometimes I feel like not liking a certain piece of artwork is almost a reflection that you are getting to the next level, because you're realizing that you actually potentially have the ability to get to the next level. But anyway, the whole point of this talk was you should take an inventory of your daily life and see how you can fit in more fun activities. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to try to film more of what I make. It's so hit or miss that I make that I feel like having 90% of film footage that is useless it's maybe wasteful, but it's not really wasteful because then I can just delete the video. But I will try to film more of what I'm making, because sometimes even if the person's not making the most gorgeous artwork in front of you, it can give you motivation to also sit down and make something fun. Even if it's wonky, shitty, you just call that thing intuitive art. Have a great day. Oh, and the next video it will be another art haul video. You know what? I've got like 2 years of art haul videos coming up, friends, because I didn't purchase any art supplies for like 2 or 3 years in a row. Literally, I didn't because I was so busy at work that I wasn't buying art supplies. But then I bought the whole universe this winter. So I think I've got like 2 years worth of, well, at least a year's worth of art hauls. So the one that's coming up this Friday is a wonderful Japanese art haul. It's actually all things koretake. So I'll see you next time. I hope you liked this video. And don't forget to click like and subscribe.